What's up, guys? We are Tottenham TV here. Spurs dumped out of the FA Cup against Aston Villa, 2-1 in another horrendous defeat, but really poor display, lacklustre again from Tottenham Hotspur. Aston Villa, took the piss for a lot of that game, in all honesty, especially in the first half, running rings around Tottenham. We just had absolutely no answer to what Aston Villa threw us. We obviously had a couple of spells in the second half where we looked like we could get back into the game. We got a goal in stoppage time, but it was obviously too little, too late. I'm here with Sai to dissect what was a horrendous display yet again from Tottenham. And Tottenham have exited two domestic cups in the last 4 days. Ange Postecoglou's going to come under increasing pressure. There was even some reports suggesting before this game that if he went out today, he would be out of a job. The performance just, obviously we're playing a good Villa team, but the performance obviously left a lot to be desired. We were from the first minute, obviously Kinski with an absolute howler, conceded within a minute from Jacob Ramsey. Didn't get much better later on, or it could have been 3 or 4 down in that first half with the chances Villa created. Second half, it looked like we were getting back in the game and we created some openings, but again, left the back door open. Morgan Rogers taking advantage of what was a really poor defensive mishap yet again from Tottenham. And, after the substitutions from Aston Villa, Rashford comes on, Asensio comes on. It looked like the Villa were going to take the game away from us 3-4-0 at that point. They again missed some quality opportunities. Tell gets a goal in stoppage time. You're thinking, is there a miracle? But it was too little, too late at that point. Sai, what are your immediate feelings after crashing out 2 cups in 4 days? Hard to put it into words.
Well, no, I know the words, just can't say them on here. The manner at which we've gone out on both of these is kind of unacceptable. This injury conversation is repetitive and boring. Yes, we have to acknowledge it, of course, because it is a massive issue in the club at the moment. But saying that, this is where you should be adaptable, maybe is a good word, in terms of setup, in terms of positional play. The kind of topic that we've had before this game was that we looked at the bench and we were kind of like, well, we haven't really got any answers to anything if something needed changing anyway. So we're in this position. We know who's at fault at the top. We know there's problems with the quality of players. We know there's massive issues with the injuries. There's a massive issue, potentially, arguably more so than ever before, is the tactical aspect of it. It's all coming into alignment where there's just nowhere to hide anymore. There is no excuse for any of this at all. Like, today was unacceptable. The Liverpool game was unacceptable in the sense that we didn't even turn up to do anything whatsoever. Liverpool didn't get out of first gear. We didn't even turn the ignition on if we were a car. Today, it was a similar principle. And it's exactly what I said earlier in this game. We've gone from this defeat of Liverpool a couple of days ago. You think there'd be a rally of the troops, something different, something changing, and then we go and do all these mistakes in the first minute of this game straight away. It's unbelievable. Like, you could literally write the script almost with Tottenham, to be honest. Like, I have zero expectation in any game anymore. I used to be really positive. I am as a person. When it comes to Tottenham, I'm now just realistic in my mind and logical in the sense that if you don't expect anything, anticipate anything in that sense of positivity, then you won't be disappointed. But that means still that I get massively frustrated, and those that know me and those that have seen me on the channel many times before will know that I have certain principles, a certain level of standard, and that includes from a professional perspective in life, but especially when you're talking about a team or a football club that means so much to so many people. Whether you're watching at home, whether you've travelled once again, a long distance to go and watch them away from home or wherever you are in the country, around the world, really, if you dedicate your energy and time, you'd at least expect a minimal effort in return. And I think the last 2 games have been absolutely disgusting in regards to that aspect of their game. Now, you could argue today there was some stints of change. I think the second half we came out progressively well, but then it just completely spinned on its head when we didn't take advantage of any of the situations that occurred in that second half. Yeah, okay, we can talk about the Son instance in the first half or whatever, but there was not enough there. There was not enough there at all. And also, from your perspective, you can only just sit there and watch it happen, let it happen, because you know full well that nothing on the bench will change anything. You know, you could argue that, I've said this many times, I've said it in previous games, just play some of the academy players. It would be 100 times better and more enjoyable to watch. Trust me. So go and do that as a difference. But instead we put the same players on, or the ones that are available are the same ones that come on, and you're expecting something different. It's not going to change. There's no change in the shape of the team. There's no change in the philosophy, the tactics. There is nothing. You know, this handball thing, this myth, which happened a few times last season. It's happened a couple of times this season. And yes, we've had injuries, but you have to have a plan B, a plan C, something different. Because all that's going to happen is, even the fans that try and back you, I've backed Ange all the way through, but certainly in the last month or so, I've seen that light, as it were, from people's conversations, people's comments about his tactics or lack of them, the lack of the plan B, the plan C, because it's times like this and times when you're in a difficult situation, you have to change something. You have to do something different. And yes, of course, we can't put massively different players on there, but you can at least try something different, because then people maybe at least acknowledge and have the understanding that, well, at least he's trying. We're in this difficult situation, but you've got this stubbornness of doing the same thing over and over again. There's all those definitions of insanity. We're doing it every single week. And Sim, we're all having the same conversations every week. It's boring. It's repetitive. It's all about injuries. It's all about the manager. It's all about this. It's all about that, about Tottenham. There's nothing positive left in this club. The soul is gone. It is completely destroyed, in my opinion, years ago when the stadium was built. But that has progressed now to the point where it's almost like there's a lack of anything anymore. Our best players are long gone. Some of the players that are still there, we're clinging on to the nostalgia. They're not good enough anymore. And that's no disrespect to them, but that's just what happens in life. It's what happens in football. They're being used commercially, some of them. It's unacceptable the way that this club is being treated and the way that we've gone down this route. We're now sat here a week earlier, we were sitting there saying there's the promise that Ange wins things in the second season. We're still in all the competitions. Fast forward a week, guys, we're out of 2 of them. We've only got 1 left. I can't honestly see us doing anything in that. They're saying we're favourites. I don't know how they came to that conclusion. If you want to go waste your money, go ahead. But I think that's long gone. My thoughts and opinions and the energy that I had towards that is long gone, especially after this week. You dissecting this game is kind of pointless because, you know, there's nothing to dissect other than the fact that they're not good enough. They're tired. They are so lethargic. There is no energy. You can't even talk about the high press being the energy factor anymore because they're not even doing that. They're just tired from playing 2 or 3 games, you know, each week. It's not possible as a human to do that. So there's a concoction of all these things going on in the club. Everyone's annoyed. Everyone's frustrated. There's no excuses anymore. Like, something has to change, and we can all point fingers. The players aren't going to get sacked. The chairman's not going anywhere. The only solution, the only option we got left is the manager. I personally believe we get another manager in, we might see something different at least. I don't think it's going to change anything, the hierarchy or anything around the middle. That will never change. They make too much money. Get out of your heads. But, like, something has to be different now. All the players come out every week. Oh, we're going to change the philosophy. We're trying for the team. We believe in the philosophy. This, that. What philosophy? What football? There's nothing to watch anymore. It's gone. There is nothing positive left at all in this team right now. It's not going to change until the summer comes. Some of the players come back. Maybe new players come in. Some of the other players go. I'm done, Sim. Like, I've never been this dead about Tottenham in my life. I've always been strong and positive, but you have to. Everyone has a limit. Everyone has a line. Tottenham have drawn the line with me a few weeks back. I'd have to say. Some may say, "Why on earth did it take you this long?" I always believe. I always have hope. And this diminishing factor of Tottenham Hotspur as a football club or a business, whatever you want to call it these days, is just utterly diminishing in the heart. It's diminishing in the head, the soul, everything. So I'm just left here with a piece of paper with no notes on it because I can't be bothered. The team can't be bothered. So why should I bother writing shit on my paper? I've had enough of it.
Yeah, I think I can understand everyone's gutted after going out of another cup, and especially how easily I think we were beaten by Aston Villa. I think throughout the game again. I think again a lot of it. I mean, I'll repeat myself. I think it gets boring, but I still think it's the same situation. They're physically in a better situation than we are.
It is.
They able to overpower us. We weren't really able to change it. You saw what a difference subs came on for them. What a difference it made. And for us, we just don't have that luxury of making those subs. I think. The players at the moment are really lacking in confidence. We're losing lots of important games and lots of games week in, week out. But Ange also has to take responsibility for some of the tactical setups. Like, for example, where was our midfield for a lot of that game? I think Ange has to be responsible for why that was apparent, where Porro being out of position. But things that Ange can do very little about. Kinski's absolute howler today. What can Ange do about that? Absolute howler from him for that first goal. If he keeps that out, we don't go 1-0 down early. Maybe there's a different feel to the game. Son missing an absolute sitter at 1-0 in the first half. He has to put that away. Not sure what Ange can really do about that. Danso missed an absolute sitter during the game. That was at 2-0. Maybe if we got one back at that point, I think it was 20 minutes to go. Maybe we had more time to would have had more time to get back in the game. Not much you can do about that. I think there are some things that I feel for Ange, and some things I think Ange has to be responsible for. The reality is we've been dumped out of 2 cups in the last 4 days. That's what he was really hanging his hat on, if we're all being honest, this season. When it comes to having any sort of success this season and getting anything from it, we're now out of both those cups, both domestic cups, and then we don't have any possibility of winning them. So it's we now have all eggs really in that Europa League basket, seeing as the league campaign has gone to absolute shit, and we're in the bottom half, and I think we're 15 or something points away from the European places in the league at the current point of standing. Again, I do believe there are circumstances surrounding that, and I've been very consistent about the issues we've been having. And you look at the bench today, you look at the squad today, it's the same scenario. We had a lot of the same players that we played against Liverpool. We didn't really have the ability to change it much. We changed it as much as we could. And, people were criticising Ange at half-time for taking off more and being on Basuma. I actually thought we improved when we did do that. And I thought actually the change helped us. But unfortunately, again, like it's happened in so many times this season, in our best moment in the game, we conceded a goal. Just as when we were looking like we were getting on top of them, bam, it's 2-0. And then as soon as it goes 2-0, they then make those subs in Rashford and Asensio, and all of a sudden they took the game away from us at that point in the game. So again, there's the situation in that game got away from us, but I don't think the tactical element of Ange changing things hampered us in that second half. I thought it actually improved us, but it wasn't enough to take the game against a good Villa side. And I think you can just see it physically. These players can't do what is required at the moment. There are balls being played into feet, and then all of a sudden you get these aggressive Villa players just out-muscling them and getting the better of them. And I do think these players are trying. When I'm looking at these players, they're running, they're trying their best, but there's only so much they can do at the moment. I really believe that. And I think Villa obviously had their full week rest. I know they had injuries as well, and they obviously lost a centre-back during the game, but they haven't had to deal with the same amount of injuries for the same amount of time, and it's been a compounding effect on our squad, and the players are out there, and that's what's leading to these performances. Now, the reality is, regardless of the injury situation, Ange is the manager of the football club, and he's tasked with solving these problems, and he's tasked with being able to overcome these difficulties that that have become upon. Whether you believe these difficulties are his fault or not, I don't think all of them are down to him, but maybe you could say portion of the injuries, you can say he has a part to play potentially. I'm not convinced by it, but maybe you could argue that. He's asked to solve these problems, and the reality is he just failed miserably at doing so. He hasn't been able to come up with any solutions as to how we can overcome these issues, and we've been dropping like a rock for the past 2 months. And then the only thing he was really hanging on to is the fact that we won it up in that cup semi-final, and we were still in the FA Cup, and obviously we're still in the Europa League as well, which obviously that only comes around in March. And he's failed absolutely miserably at solving any of these solutions to these problems. So if they want to sack Ange off the basis of that, I don't think he can complain, to be honest. And I don't think, I don't think you can say it's the wrong decision, because managers are paid to solve problems, and he can't solve these problems that we're in. Now, there's another argument to say who would be able to solve this kind of problem. That's also another. That's a fair argument as well. I think keeper, their first choice striker, all their depth in the attack as well. Who could lose all of that for 3 months and still be getting consistent results and still be fighting for what they want to achieve? I think that's also a fair argument. And whatever way you land on that, I don't blame you for thinking either way, to be honest, because I think both are valid kind of ways of thinking. For me, where I sit on it after today's defeat, the conversation will ramp up again about Ange.
Of course. Is
he on his last legs? Is this the straw that broke the camel's back? Is it time for him to go? For me, I don't see the point in sacking him again. Again, we're on the cusp of getting all these players back, and I think it's only fair that we've been giving him all these hard times with all these players out. Once the players come back, he should be the one to try and reap the benefit of having them back and try and getting the results. And we still have the Europa League campaign. I don't think we're getting any manager that anyone's going to be happy with from now to the end of the season. We're not going to get Irola. We're not going to get all these managers that people want, if all honesty. And if come the end of the season, we make that decision that Ange is not the right guy, we want to go in a separate direction, then we make that decision at the end of the season. But I still think we give him that Europa League campaign, and we just give him till the end of the season to make that judgment. Now, if we were to go out of Europe early, right, which is very possible right now, given the situation, I don't know what kind of condition these players are going to come from injury from, all these different things. If we go out of Europe early, then I think there's a serious conversation to getting him out early, because is it just hurting us more, him being here, in terms of, the situation around the club, the toxicity, all this kind of stuff. And, maybe at that point you just get Mason into the end of the season. But until that point, I'm willing to see out. And I think, again, and I really do believe that once we get those players back from injury, we will be a much better side for it. And I think we won't be as bad as what we're seeing right now. Just for the pure fact is I think we'll have more energy in the team, which we clearly lack in. And I've been consistent from that point ever since the injury crisis started. And the reality is the injury crisis has only gotten worse since that point. So I don't see how I can just automatically think we're going to start getting results when the injury crisis is only getting worse, if I'm blaming the injury crisis for those results. So I'm going to be consistent in that. I think we might as well give him to the end of the season. I still believe that. There's a very serious possibility. There's a very serious possibility we could wake up tomorrow morning and we have made an announcement that he has been sacked, and I wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't be shocked at this point, because we have dropped out both competitions, which he was basically hanging his hat on a lot of these competitions, and we are losing game after game. And regardless of the injuries, it hasn't been good enough. And that is true. That is true. So if he gets sacked, then I'm not going to cry over spilled milk, because he wouldn't. I wouldn't say he wouldn't deserve it, put it that way. But I still think you might as well give him to the end of the season. That's kind of where I'm at with it right now.
Sim is a generous man, a very generous man.
Sack him now.
I've said all along, I've been a big fan of Ange, since he's come in. I don't think he was. I don't think he's probably the best choice manager, but it's the position that we were put in back then. Not many managers want to come and work for Daniel anymore. I don't know how far down the list Ange was. I think it would probably be reasonable to say that it wasn't maybe one of the first 5 ones, but it was the position that we were put in. So what do you expect, really, when you're a fan? And I've said it all along. I've said it for many years. Like, it doesn't matter who comes in, the circus will continue. We'll be here in 12 months, 18 months' time with another manager, same situation. You go on any YouTube channel, Tottenham following, etc., etc. They seem to repeat themselves over and over again. Oh, this manager will change things, or oh, we've seen this, it's time to get Levy out, blah blah. Oh, now things are going well for 6 months, everyone shuts up, and then hey ho, 12 months, 18 months, they're back around in the circle. So that's why I'm kind of like trying to loop myself out of the insanity situation and suggest that, well, I don't really think anything's going to change anything. So it's kind of a weird one, because I partially agree with the point in saying, well, there's no point sacking him now, because just see him out for the season, see what happens in Europe. If he goes in the end of the year, he goes at the end of the year. Could that be detrimental to the league? I don't know. We're in a really bad position in the league, to be honest, a very dangerous one. So it's a risky game to play. But then equally, the club and the football club in general has been played as a risk over these many years from a financial perspective, from the way that it's being run. So there's no, in my mind, I think we're where we should be, in all honesty. Yeah, okay, maybe a few positions higher in the league and everything like that. But I think that's where we are as a club at the moment, just in the way of everything that's going. So when you're looking at this Ange situation, I'm kind of sat there going, well, we've put us, not ourselves, because the fans haven't really had anything to do with this, but we put ourselves in this position. Like, it's our own fault. And now we're paying the price of it. We're paying the price of, lack of recruitment, really, still to this point, because even last summer, I don't think enough was coming. Loads went out, not enough came in. Same with this January. I don't think we did enough. I know there's excuses all under the sun about, oh, it's really difficult, this, that, and the other. Well, how come everyone else seems to be able to do it that needs to do it when they need to do it? We're in this challenging position now. Got a couple of players in, or 2 or 3 players in this January, but we're still stuck. We're still stuck with lack of quality. We're still stuck with the energy issue. We're still stuck with everything bad that's going on at the moment. So to your point, Sim, of like, he's going tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised either. But I'd also see the reasoning as to why to keep him until the end of the season. But either way, I think it's just all such a big mess. Everyone's fed up with talking about the same thing over and over again, the same situation every 18 months, 2 years. When does it stop? How does it stop? Because we're just going to keep going and going around this ridiculous circus that is Tottenham Hotspur. I'm tired of it. Like, it has sapped all my energy and that mental positivity that I had for the club is completely gone. I don't know what to do. The only answer I came up with, which I mentioned in a few chats the other day in WhatsApp and everything, was if everyone, I think it's 150 million, I'm just going to put this idea out there because it's the only thing I think of. It's about 150 million fans of Spurs around the world. If we all put something like £12 or £24 in each, we could take over the club. I'm being serious. Go on ChatGPT or something, do the calculation. If we want to get 4 billion, let's just as fans worldwide. I'm sure there's a few millionaires out there that could maybe help out with some extra money or something, and we can put you as like a board member, make some executive decisions or whatever, if you want to do that. That's the only way I can see out of it. I don't think a new investor is going to help or anything like that. I think it'd be the same issues with just a different way of doing it. So I don't know. I think just Tottenham's gone. I just don't know what to think anymore. I appreciate the difficulties of the injuries. I appreciate they're all tired today, but the adaptability is the problem. It wasn't there. That you have to change the system. If your players are tired, you have to adapt the formation. You have to adapt this. It was exactly the same pretty much formation as it was the other day. And it was the same scenarios. We just didn't concede 4. We conceded 2, but equally of still disappointing manner. So in my opinion, like, I think Ange goes tomorrow, stays. I don't know if I care anymore, to be honest. But I'm at that point. I don't know what everyone else out there thinks. But, like, the excuses are gone. There's no more excuses left. I can't see anything changing for next week or the week after. Yes, some players can come back. They could easily get injured again. Because the way we try to play, or perceived to try to play, I still haven't seen it for a long time. We're stuck, Sim. I don't know. We are stuck. We're stuck in this vicious cycle of overplaying players. More players get injured. Players come back, 1 in, 1 out. That's pretty much, Danso comes in, Dragishin comes out, Tell comes in, Richarlison comes out. It's like we can't seem to just at any point get a squad together
that is capable of competing at this kind of level. I do think that's the
There's some mess top down sim.
That's
the
kind
problem.
I think that's at the moment why we're playing so badly. That is the crux of the issue, in my opinion. But that's what he's got to deal with, and he's not been able to kind of solve that issue. He's not been able to deal with that situation. Yes, other managers have been able to deal better with it, but they've been dealing with these crises longer than we have.
Of course.
We've been dealing it for 3 months, for
of course.
3 games a week. All these players, they're just dead on their feet, and we're playing against good teams who not only are they good, but they're also fresher. And I think the physical aspect is massive. I think it's absolutely massive.
The only thing I would say, Sam, is a lot of people go back to this. With the first 10 games of last season, we still go on about as if we won something. They were great. They were great games. Something switched, and then the reality of things came back in. And since then, literally since then, we're talking about probably 18 months now, I've seen zero progression. I've seen 1 or 2 players that have really stood up. Gray's been unbelievable. I think Spence has been our best player of the season. But outside of that, irrespective of whether players have been available or not, I haven't seen anything. I've seen no progression. I've seen nothing. That's why I think there's a massive agreement in my head with myself that Ange's not. I knew Ange wasn't the right person anyway, but it's confirmed now. But it's like, who comes in, and then is it going to actually really be different? It's the same proper players, the same situation above. I don't know. I'm sure there's some people in the calls at some point that will have maybe some answers, but we don't know.
I think nothing. I don't think anything changes if we sack him right now. I honestly don't.
It's the easiest decision to make, though, Sim,
but it's the only decision you can make.
If you want a finger point, he's going to be the one. As I said, you're not going to get rid of the chairman. He's staying there because he makes a lot of money. He's not going anywhere. Why would you do that? Like, however much he makes the club a lot.
Look, it's a fair argument to say Andrew's had enough chances, and he's had enough chances to be within a job, and it's time for him to go. And we might as well give Mason that Europa League run because Andrew's had enough chances within enough competitions. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that if you give Mason all these injuries, he's not going to make a difference. Now the fact is, we're getting all these players back. Maybe
we do. Yes.
They're starting to filter in. I don't know what's going on.
It's hindsight, though, isn't it?
I don't know what's hindsight. Going on with those players, but hopefully we're getting those players back. So are we better off giving those players to Ange, or are we giving them to a new manager? That's the question we've got to ask ourselves. If we're not getting any players back, are we better off going with a new manager? Maybe, because Ange can't handle the squad with these injuries. But I don't know what manager could handle this squad, the amount of injuries we have and the situation that these players are in, because they're going to have to play under another manager, and they don't seem to be up for it right now.
I know. This is what I'm saying. There's actually, I don't think there's any answer until the board has changed or something has changed dramatically in the vicinity of. If you dig deep, we know what the actual problems are. They stem from the same person, the same intricate detail of what the club's got at the moment with inside it. But it all stems down to then the quality of the manager, the players, the type of players, the quality of the players, the amount of players. It's a vicious circle. We will get another manager in tomorrow. We will get another manager in the summer. We will all be sitting here doing exactly the same thing in 12, 18 months' time. Take this video as a receipt, because I've said it in the last videos. I said it when Conte was here. I said it was Jose was here. Exactly the same thing will happen over and over again. There is no answer. Nothing. We're done.
Finito.
We're done.
All right, well, that's our instant match reaction to Spurs' 2-1 defeat to Aston Villa in the FA Cup. Another massive blow to Spurs and Ange this season. But it is now your chance to have your say about going out of the FA Cup. And there are some callers ready to come in and give their opinions. I'm sure they're not going to kind of sugarcoat anything.
Bring back Emerson.
And the first person to come on, who I'm definitely sure isn't going to be sugarcoating anything, is Barry. Let's get Barry on. Barry, how are we doing today? 2-1 defeat to Aston Villa. What is your kind of take on things?
Sim, are you ready to say Ange out yet?
You should be able to hear me. Our side?
It's your side.
Can the chat hear him? Can you hear him? You can hear him. Why can't I? I can't hear him.
It's the demise of Tottenham is now getting into the microphones.
Yeah. It's because
we can't hear you, Barry.
Headphones.
No, we can't hear him.
Everyone can hear me.
There we go. Can you hear now?
Yeah.
Yeah? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Are we good? Are we
We've
good?
got you. We've got you.
One.
We've
Okay.
I
got
can
you.
only hear him through one.
Yeah,
but
it's
whatever.
fine.
It's all right, Barry. We can hear you.
Okay. Sim, are you ready? Are you ready, Sim? Are you going to finally say those words? And out.
Take him off. Take him off. I don't want on anymore.
What? Sim, it's okay, mate. Sim, you can't be still backing this manager, man. Honestly, after this week, I've just this manager. He just needs to go. He's got to go. Surely now. Surely there is no saving this manager. Please, Sim. Of all things that have happened this week, after Thursday night's demolition, I mean, that scoreline flattered us. And anyone backing this manager going, oh, we only lost 2-1. We should have lost about 8-0. Honestly, Villa absolutely tore us apart more than Liverpool did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree the scoreline flattered us. I think it shouldn't have been as close as 2-1. But, I mean, again, the circumstances are the same as they've been for 3 months. Like, how did you really expect to come here and we were going to look fresh and we were going to, Villa had 8 days to train for this game. Was there no kind of sympathy there with Ange?
No sympathy. He came out and said, oh, these players have been given everything. Well, I don't know what he's been watching. I don't know whether he's been watching some unicorns or rainbows or something else, because those players are an absolute embarrassment. And that starts from, dare I say it, and I've been saying it for a long time, and you know where I'm going with this, Sim, that comes from our captain. What excuses are we make for our captain? Because today, Jed Spence was running down that wing. Sonny was there, and he wasn't even keeping up.
I don't think we have a captain, Barry.
Well, but how many more excuses are we going to make for him? Son is finished. He's finished at this football club.
But Barry, let me
manager is finished at this football club.
One game today. Look at earlier. Okay, I don't know why I know Son missed a chance today and he had a terrible game, but again, he's not the only one. I don't know why it has to be focused on him. But look at one game today, just before we played. Liverpool rested a load of players, right? They had a lot of players missing. They played Plymouth in the cup and they lost 1-0. That was one game. We've been doing this for 3 months, right? So do you not see how much of an effect this would have on us?
What Sim? What effect, Sim? What that this manager's had on us because of
the
his
injuries.
tactics.
I'm talking about the injuries.
Yeah, but they're from Ange's tactics, Sim. No, or we gonna
not all of them. Not all of them. Not all of them.
Okay, or what are we gonna say about Richarlison being injured now? Really, we're gonna die on a hill with Richarlison.
What do you mean, Richarlison? 11 players out for 3 months, Barry. You don't think that has an effect on the squad? Effect on overplaying players? They get absolutely knackered and as well not as good. Is there nothing?
Sim,
that can't be ignored.
Sim, when we've had the opportunity to play players like today, why is Reggie not playing? Why is Porro still playing? Why is he not doing the things that he's had? He's had opportunities to play players and rest players.
Porro was rested on Thursday. That's why he played today.
It's not good enough. Barry, I've got a question because the bench that we had, as I said, before the game and during the game, we just didn't really have enough on there as like a game changer. But my point comes really about Ange in terms of that adaptability or something different. And I've always in this belief, like there was quite a few youngsters on the bench, and as you mentioned, like Region and everyone like that. I mean, it's not going to complete the team, but like maybe just throw them on and see what happens, because we've been watching. Sim's point about the last 3 months is quite interesting, because actually we could argue that the last 3 months we haven't seen anything different, because it's always been those same players, which may be why they're so tired. So if we give them a bit of a rest by playing maybe some of these youngsters, yeah, you could argue like, oh, but we need to protect them, they need to learn this, that and the other. Well, the best way of learning, in my opinion, is to get them chucked in, like with any job in the world. So do you not think that plays into the hands of the fans, including myself probably now, as to when they're saying, oh, Ange is doing the best with injuries, this and the other, that he could maybe have tapped into those kind of areas a lot more? Like, because that's what I think he could have done even today, is just play a load of those players that are on the bench, just put them on. because it's
If we
then
if
we
we'd have
might
played,
see something different.
yeah, yeah. If we'd have played these players or had a plan, or but instead it's going to be a youth project, then it's going to be a youth project, right? And then we accept it. But at the moment, we're not. I don't know what the plan is. Nobody knows what the plan is. The
Exactly.
plan
We
is
don't know what anything is.
the plan is just, oh, we've got a load of injuries and the players are doing their best and I'm trying my best, and that just seems to be it. We're not, but when we're not actually trying anything. The last 25 games since we beat Villa 4-1 at home, we've won 9, and obviously lost 12, drawn 4, right? But the 9 games that we've won, Brentford obviously the other day, Elfsborg at home, Hoffenheim away, Tamworth, Liverpool in the first leg of the Carabao Cup, Man United just 4-3 in the Carabao Cup, Southampton, and Man City, apart from the Villa game. I mean, it's just, look, I wanted this to work, but it's not working.
Yeah.
It's not working, and there's obviously a protest before the Man United game. Everyone, and I know obviously Daigle and will come on and talk about it, and everyone else involved with talking about it probably is that people need to be there for that protest and they need to make their voices heard, right? We can't keep doing this because, like you said, Si, you said reseat this for 18 months' time. It was the same before under Conte. It was the same with Jose. It was the same.
I've said it on these watch-alongs, Barry. I've said it many times. I've said it every single time. It's like no one listens. Like, not to me, but like it seems like we enjoy this situation. Like we enjoy this every 12, 18 months. I don't. I think it's repetitive and boring.
But do you think, Si, this is the worst it's ever been, right? This is the worst it's ever been.
I consider this to be very similar to maybe that bit of that Sherwood era where we still didn't really know what we're doing or what's going on, and probably the 90s. I was quite young in the 90s, but I still remember very big stints of it, especially when my dad was going to protest to get Alan Sugar and all that out at those periods of time where it was really bad. So we've gone full circle, really. Daniel leaving all that have taken us to where they could possibly get us to, being very lucky along the way in most instances, made a lot of money, made us boring sustainable words, blah, blah, and it's come full circle. It's time to sell. The only difficulty I've still got in my head is what I said earlier, personally, is I'm like, I don't know what could even be different with a new investor, a new owner, because it could be even worse. It could be better. We don't know. We don't know until we try that. But equally, until someone stumps up the money, we're stuck with this. The chairman, we can protest all day long. I heard Sean's video the other day, and I partially agree with it in the sense that I'm always at protests. I'm delightfully in some of the newspapers from the recent one with my face behind the banners and everything with the balloons. Like, but you sit there and you're like, these protests aren't going to do anything really, but we have to, as fans, at least show our passion and our dedication, and we have the right to do so because we pay a lot of money. It's within our rights to do so. So we at least show face that we care. Maybe the club doesn't care, but we do. So that's why I do it personally, and I believe in the project of Enoch Out. I have for many years. It has to change, but we're going to go around in these philosophical circles. Different managers. We had serial winners come to Tottenham. They don't win anything. They get sacked for a lot less than Ange is still here for, by the way. And now we're going to go back into this circle again. Hey ho presto, the managers that we've sacked said aren't good enough and dinosaurs. They're bloody winning things. So what's going on here? We're stuck in this situation again.
Well, so Barry, what is the if sacking Ange is the solution? What's the question? How do we improve? Where does sacking Ange get us? What does that get us?
Well, I think it gives us some way of salvaging the Europa League and climbing up the Premier League table with a bit of a new manager bounce. I think that's the only, and that's me clutching a little bit, right?
So is that worth sacking him over?
I don't think, and there's probably a lot of people in here as well. I don't think a lot more people can. What are we going to do? Wait until the Europa League's done, and then that's another 2 months. And I don't know. I can't. I don't think I can watch this anymore. I don't think I can watch this until he's gone. I don't know about anyone else. I don't. Yeah, I don't know, but I can't.
And you don't. And wait, and Barry, can I ask? What do you not think it'll be any different once the players are back from injury? You think there'll be no difference?
No, because we lost because we're being lied to about Van der Ven. Clearly he's injured, but we're monitoring him and we're trying to do what's best for him because he said he did. So that's a that's a load of nonsense. He's clearly injured, and it probably looks like it. Well, it looks quite serious. Romero was supposed to be back by now, no, or back in the next week. That's all gone quiet. But there's an international break coming up soon, so I'm sure he'll put himself
yeah, he'll be
a
back.
couple of games before the Argentina are due to play. Does it make a difference? What? Because we might see Archie Gray actually in midfield because none of these midfielders seem like they want to be able to pass the ball to one another, let alone.
Because we'll have more players available. We'll have fresher players who can actually rotate. It will just be a different situation.
We'll be fresher, Sim, because we'll be playing one game a week. That's why it'll be better. We'll be playing one game a week.
Swings and roundabouts to an extent.
And
I agree.
I
with
I don't think maybe we might concede less, but we don't even look like. All right, Tell scored, and we scored the other. We don't even look like that. Our front three don't even look like scoring. So, where it's all very well saying they're going to what Solanke comes back, and because Solanke comes back and then starts banging goals in for fun. Well, he wasn't doing that before.
No, but it will just give other players a break. We can rotate. Well, the front players will be a lot fresher than they are right now. They're being. Are we going to drop Son? Are we going to? Mikey Moore was the only person in that first half that put a decent cross in. And then he gets hooked off at half time
when he came off.
Huh?
You said when he came off. Why? We're taking more off.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I thought we looked better in the beginning of the second half when he went off. So I don't think it was a bad decision to change up like he did because I thought there was improvement there. But unfortunately, in our best moment again, we conceded, and then they made subs. They brought Rashford on, Asensio. They could freshen things up, and you can see the energy levels just massively increased for Villa once they made those subs, and it took the game away from us. I think that was the reality. I actually thought we improved in that 20-minute period after we made subs, and we created some chances, and we probably could have got back in the game at that point, but we didn't. That's the reality we have to live with. But I don't think that sub was actually, in hindsight, a terrible decision.
No. But I'm just saying, Sim. They're bringing on players that have been at that club for how long? A week, 10 days, maybe not even that long, and we've got players that have been in that club.
Yeah, we have to start us. Well, I'm sure we would love to bet in our signings, but we don't have that luxury.
No. But the point is that if there's a plan and if there's tactics and if this manager has a plan, then these players should know. Forget Danso, forget Tell, but the rest of them, how long they've been here, they should know what the manager's planning. There is no plan. That midfield, I don't even think we play with a midfield anymore because they just everyone just passes straight through it. 1-2 passes, bang, they're attacking. And that's been like that for the last, and that's not down to tiredness. That's not down to the new signings or betting in new signings. That's down to tactics and the lack of tactics because we've seen it week after week after week. Look how open we are, and I'm not qualified like some people that will be able to explain it better, right? But I can see it with my eyes that we are absolutely wide open. You saw even Leighton, or you saw it. You saw it from Leighton Orient yesterday. They were plugging the gaps against Man City and making it difficult. We don't even do that.
It's a great point, Barry. I think it's exactly that point.
I don't. That's fair. That's fair. I'm not gonna.
But anyway, there's loads of people here. I don't want to keep you late. Si's got a long drive. And
all right, Barry.
Let's just Sim. It's okay, mate. We can have that intervention soon. Don't worry.
Never.
Good to see you, mate. Good to see you.
See you soon, Barry.
See you later.
Much love.
Let's go through some super chats. Time to dare to do Biss, Sarr, Bentancur look like they give a shit. Sarr laughed when he played a pass out in the final third. Ange has no clue. Levy Ange out. Michael Hellman, this fraud didn't deserve the second leg of the cup. Certainly not effing game. It's no longer a matter of Ange out, but who is his replacement? CCM28, circumstances FC winners don't accept failure. Scorpion fans live on behalf of the chat sim, please stop backing Ange. Mathieu Brissy, expectations are too high with worst team in years. Mark Hellman again. Ange can be a good person and a mid-manager. Both can be true. Lefteris Gulas, who we only sit and criticise. They are in a terrible time and we only make it worse. Stop crying all the time. Back the team. We have to support them. Marcus has always thought sacking Pochettino would be like Atletico sacking Simeone. It makes no sense. Sack Ange, make Poch's return a priority. We ain't returning till after the World Cup, so I wouldn't get your hopes up on that. Lefteris Gulash, we fans are pathetic too. How about we support the team in this bad position? We are instead talking shit. Back the players. All right, let's get...
Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
Let's get Stelios on. He's in the background, eagerly waiting to come on. Hello, Stel. Welcome back to the channel. We're out the FA Cup today, Stel. Another trophy exited in the last 4 days. We lost 2-1 today to Aston Villa. What was your take on the game?
First of all, just want to send my condolences to you and your brother regarding your granddad, mate. So, sorry to hear that bad news, by the way.
Thank you.
It's important we say it because he's been a big part of this channel and he's always called in and offered great takes and pretty balanced opinions. So it's only right, mate. It's only right we mention it. Yeah. Look, today's game, Sim. I'm lost for words with you. I think you've completely lost the plot. I've got no idea where you're going. No, I'm serious. You're out of your mind. You're completely doolally. Like, what are you saying anymore? This manager is the worst manager in the history of Levy and Enoch's tenure. He is horrendous. An abomination of a manager. I said this back when we signed Werner. If you're going to accept players like Werner, this project is dead, and it's gone nothing but downwards ever since. I came on weeks ago and I said, sack him, get rid of him to save the season, bring in a manager so we can at least compete in the FA Cup, at least give that Carabao Cup semi-final a real chance. To give Europe a realistic chance. No. Fans like you want to keep him. You want to make every excuse under the sun for him. And what have we now got? From having a season that we might have salvaged something, we've got a manager who went to Anfield and put up zero fight. He failed to motivate the players. He failed to galvanise them. They showed nothing under this manager. And we bent over, we pulled our pants down, and we took it royally at Anfield. Everything I predicted that would happen. Then today, we go up to Aston Villa. You're thinking, right, let's see whether you can galvanise them, whether you can put some oomph into a cup game and save the season. First 45 minutes, horrendous. Shocking, the same old. Fullbacks are too high. Everyone wants to play midfield. Imagine we play with 8 midfielders and we're still wide open in the middle. Defenders that look dysfunctional. The whole thing is rotten, man. And you defend him. You know, and I hear you say things like, oh, but they brought on Rashford and Asensio. They've got players to come on and freshen it up. I'm sorry. We signed Danso and Tell. They freshen it up.
They started, yeah.
Yeah, but they've come in to freshen up the team. We look just as bad with them. If Danso and Tell didn't sign, what's the difference? You know, we brought on Sar and Basuma. Great, we got a 15-minute flurry of activity, and then we were back to normal after the 60th minute. This manager has got one way of playing. He's a one-trick pony. He can't manage difficult situations. He makes stupid substitutions. He plays players out of position and expects us to get any kind of result. Sim, he's the worst manager Spurs have ever had. He's horrendous. Conte had a worse team. He got us top 4 twice. Mourinho had a shambolic team. He got us to a cup final. And he comes in, Billy Big Bollocks. Here we are, mate. Yeah, I win trophies everywhere I go, mate. Really? And he put this whole season on a pedestal up there. He told us, I want a challenge for the title. I always win trophies in my second season. My God, are you eating these words? You are chewing on your words, man. He is a joke. But the ultimate blame lies with Daniel Levy, because Daniel Levy, this schmuck of a chairman, this wise guy, he brings in a yes man who's going to do everything that he says. He's going to be this shield of barrier, this defensive mechanism to protect his arse. And what did he do? He cut the wage bill. He asset stripped the club. He brings in mediocre signings. This project of Daniel Levy's, this data-driven, low-wage bill project, has spectacularly backfired, because we are witnessing the worst, the absolute worst season in the history of Tottenham Hotspur since this chairman's been in charge. This project of Levy's has backfired beyond all belief. So I blame, look, I don't blame you, Sim, but you are culpable because you defend this rubbish. You defend this chairman. There's only so far you can use injuries as an excuse. We're not even putting up a fight. We don't win the first ball. We don't challenge for the second ball. We can't complete 5 passes. We look dysfunctional at the back. We look non-existent in midfield. Our front three are shocking. They're rubbish. Even when they're fit, they're rubbish. This is what Levy's built, and Lange and Ange are part of this con job of a project that they fleeced to the fans. Any fan that bought into this, shame on you, because you've learned nothing. You've learned nothing about this chairman, and you've learned nothing about how this club operates. What I saw today was literally a surrender. We surrendered the game. We rolled out the red carpet in that first half and said, go on then, do as you wish, Aston Villa. They haven't been to the 5th round of the FA Cup in 10 years. Of course, Dr. Tottenham turns up. There you go. There's your entry to the next round. Congratulations. The doctor served up the medicine. I don't understand how you can defend it, Sim. I don't. And I don't understand.
All I'm doing is being consistent. All I'm doing is being consistent on my opinion that if the amount of injuries we've had for the amount of time we've had them for is going to have a massively detrimental effect on the squad. That's all I've said. And that situation hasn't changed. And I know it's boring to say, and I know it's getting tiring, but the reality is the situation's only gotten worse since that is the thing I said. So that would be hypocritical of me to then turn around and say, I now expect results with that same situation, right? Against the teams like Liverpool and Villa, who are very good, who had not as many injuries or for not as much time, or who are in a better way than we are, who had longer days rest than we've had. That's all I've said. I've just been very consistent. I've just been very consistent in my opinion.
Sim, I'm not having it. No, you've been consistently wrong. You've defended this donkey. You consistently defended this donkey, and you've been wrong at every juncture. Are you telling me Plymouth are better than Spurs?
That's a great point, Stel. Look at Liverpool's team today. They rested a lot of players, right? They had a lot of players out today. Liverpool not out. They changed it for one game. By the way, they decided to change their whole team, right? And they even had the likes of Diaz, Jota in the team. A lot of good players, but they had a lot of their best players not playing today for one game, and they lost to Plymouth in the Championship. For one game, right? No. What I'm saying is that's one game Liverpool had, and they lost to Plymouth. Yeah. We've had it for 3 months. 3 months we've had this situation. And so you cannot see what kind of effect that would have. Liverpool rested a few players against us in the first leg of the Carabao, and we beat them 1-0. They then had their best team, and they beat us 4-0. Can you not see what a massive effect that has?
No, I don't. All right,
then you're the one who's blind, in my opinion.
No, because I've been right all season long from day one when I said it. You're wrong every single week. You're the kind of fan that sits there telling the world, oh, but give Ange a chance. Give him the cups. He has sabotaged the cups. This is everything I said would happen. I said if you keep him, kiss goodbye to the season. It's you that said keep him and give him the cups. Now look what you've got. Nada.
I don't think sacking him would have brought these players back from injury. I don't know what would have changed if
Sim, we're not even putting up a fight anymore, man. Birmingham City put more of a fight up against Newcastle than we've put up in the last God knows how many months. I watched Plymouth put up a fight against Newcastle. Leighton Orient, the mighty Leighton Orient with Spurs' Donnelly, put more of a fight against Man City than we've shown against any decent team. It's unacceptable. You cannot defend it. Like, we're not even fighting Sim. We're not even putting in the second ball challenge. We look exasperated of desire.
I think the word you're looking for is exhausted, Stel. I think the word you're looking for is exhausted.
No, we're not exhausted because where did that energy come from in the first 15 minutes of the second half then if we're knackered?
We tried to get something out of it. Well, I don't think it was energy. We tried to up the game, but then what happened? We got caught because we couldn't keep it up.
Sorry. The first 15 minutes of the second half wasn't energy. Of course it was. What happened was Ange put a rocket up their arse. Why can you do that before kickoff? Why can you do that at Anfield? Why can you do that at half time? Sim, this manager is dead. He's rubbish, right? I'm not expecting miracles, by the way. I agree that injuries has a consequence, but not to this level. I'm sorry, not to the level where we can't even fight. And I want to move it on, actually, because I don't want to sit here ranting about Ange and how you defend him. I want to talk about how Simon mentioned that he half agrees with Sean Butler, who says the protest won't work. I'm sorry, Sean Butler is trying to sabotage change. He is the biggest Levy sympathiser on YouTube, okay? How can you say the protest won't work if we haven't tried? We haven't tried to get thousands and thousands of fans to turn up to a protest. Let 5,000, let 10,000 fans turn up to a protest consistently and then tell me it doesn't work. Of course it works, but we've never tried it as a fan base. I'm sick to death of fans saying rubbish such as, oh, protests don't work, but you haven't tried. I'm not talking about you and you and Simon, because you have been to protests. I'm talking about the thousands and thousands of fans and the Seans of this world who try to sabotage every attempt we make to bring about change by putting obstacles in the way. There's always an obstacle they put in the way because they don't want to do the one thing they're scared to do, which is fight for change. These are the kind of obstacles that I'm hearing.
What are the obstacles, though? What are the obstacles?
I'll tell you. I don't want a new owner until I get a 25-page report on my desk of what the new owner looks like. I don't want change until I get a dossier on my desk by Friday morning telling me the background of the owner. What are these obstacles we're putting in the way?
But Stel, is it not fair to say that if you're going to call for an owner, you'd want to know who's coming in? Is that not fair to say?
Sim, it doesn't matter what we think, right? You can want Elon Musk. You could want the owner of Google. It doesn't matter because we don't know who wants to buy Spurs. We don't know what is out there.
But let's say Mike Ashley wanted to take over at Tottenham. Would you be calling for Levy out if Mike Ashley was the alternative?
Sim, of course not. But
exactly,
we don't know.
So it is important. It's important that we know.
No. That's not the obstacle that's been put in place. The obstacle that's being put in place is fans like Sean want us to tell him who we want. It doesn't matter who I want. I have no say in who the owners sell the club to. I don't know who wants to buy Tottenham Hotspur. So what does it matter what I think in terms of a new ownership? The reality is this: whatever owner we get, we don't know what's going to happen. They might be better. They might be worse. They might be Levy 2.0. The question is this: do you want to put up with this for another 25 years?
No.
Or do you want to roll the dice and see what might happen? That's
Absolutely.
the question. That's where we should be. But all I hear is
I agree with you, Stel. I agree with you. Look, it's fair to have your voices heard. I agree with you. And if you want to organise a protest and you want to say we're not happy with the way the things are going and we won't change, that's fair enough. But there are fans out there who have the opinion. I'm not going to call for change when I don't know what the change is. The change could be worse. I think that's a fair opinion as well.
That's the problem. But that's the problem, right?
Is that not a fair opinion?
You don't want change unless you know what it looks like. It doesn't matter what it looks like.
Well, what if it's worse? What if someone worse comes in?
Yeah, but I just explained that to you. That's the
Yeah,
risk we
I'm
take.
saying, yes, you want to roll the dice. There are some fans who don't want to roll the dice. That's
They
fine.
well, then they shouldn't moan about the team losing. They shouldn't moan about the managers not being good enough. They shouldn't moan about transfers. They shouldn't moan about finances. They shouldn't moan about failure then. If you don't want to take the risk, stop moaning. But what we've got is this fan base of moaners and complainers and whingers that want to suffocate the conversation without taking any action. I'm hearing now from people, I'll only go to a protest if it's family friendly. They want health and safety officers. They want health and safety officers at the protests. They want family friendly zones. They want ice cream trucks. What are we doing? Are we a fan base? Or are we a political organisation?
I think it's a different generation still. I think things have changed over the years. I mean, as I said, when my dad was protesting about sugar, it's a lot different to what we are and are not allowed to do in today's world. So I think people are protesting their own way, whether it's putting a message up or putting Levy out in the chat or whatever it is, or going to the protest. I think as long as they're on the same wavelength for the message, I think that's the key thing. I think your point is, some people are calling out that, but I want to change the manager, the chairman, or the ownership. But before I make my decision, I want to know who it is. It's just not gonna happen that way. So, like from my perspective, is that I know the only way, realistically, the only way you're gonna get the ownership out is a takeover, or we hit them where it hurts, i.e., money. That last bit is not going to happen because the events are too strong that they do. They probably don't even need football anymore, to be honest, but they still have it. And the only way they're going to do it is fans don't go. If I don't turn up at a match, someone else will take my seat. The money will still be there. So it's an impossible thing there. So like we have to keep showing the message of Levy out, Enoch out. As I said, I go to all the protests. Okay, I feel like sometimes I'm not doing too much. I'm still holding a balloon or holding a banner or whatever. It's something. It's portraying a message. It's being covered by the media more than ever before, which is absolutely fantastic. But I think your point is good in the sense that, well, if you're not happy with everything, but you're not necessarily willing to come to the protest, or at least show some form of initiative towards it, then don't complain. It's like when if you don't vote for a government and they're messing things up and you start complaining about it, well, you didn't vote, so what can you say about it? So I think we're in a predicament here where I personally think the fan base is more divided than it has been ever before in my lifetime. And I think that's a major concern. I think it's a sad thing more than anything. But I feel like
Simon,
maybe the last 6 months, 12 months at least, that more and more people than ever before have been coming on to the bandwagon, for a better word, of Enoch out and what it stands for. But realistically, what can we change in this short term at this moment in time?
Simon, this is defeatist. This is defeatist talk. I'm sorry, right?
But how is it defeatist? I've just said that I'm a protester, and I think we need to keep protesting.
Because what we need is real action. And I'll explain it to you.
Explain what the real action is, though. Let's get some answers.
I'll explain it to you. I've said it many a time on my channel. We need mass scale protests, like numbers we've not seen before. And the same applies to boycotts, because when you have a huge scale protest, the media are all over it. It's in the media's interest to broadcast it because they will get eyeballs, they will get clicks. That's how they generate revenue. Big story. Spurs fans revolt against Levy. When there's a boycott, the stadium is empty. It hurts their pockets, like you said. It needs to be mass scale action, because what then happens is this. The NFL pick up the phone to Daniel Levy and say, Daniel, there's a lot of toxicity at your club, and this is not the image we want to portray for the NFL. The corporate box holders who spend thousands of pounds to wine and dine their guests and try and do business, they don't want a toxic environment in which to do business. Then you've got AIA and Nike. They'll pick up the phone to Daniel and say, this is a bad look on us. And by the way, Daniel, we're not selling any kits. This sponsorship deal doesn't work. What we do is we make it so untenable by making it toxic not flipping cars upside down on the high street, not throwing petrol bombs at the White House, but a toxic situation where there is a fan revolt, where Levy is either forced to step down or there is some kind of, from above, Joe Lewis says, I don't want this anymore. I don't need this in my life anymore, and I don't need this around me. We have to make it untenable for them. But the thing is, Simon, we don't even try. We think by putting a Twitter comment, #LevyOut, you see, I'm doing my bit, or by going on YouTube and moaning about Levy and Enoch, it means nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
We need mass scale revolt. And I go back to what I said before. There is no guarantees we will get a better owner. There is no guarantees we will get the kind of change we want to see by changing Levy and Enoch. But what we are guaranteed is, if we keep these schmucks in charge, we're going to get more mediocre transfers, a wage bill that will never move to the direction it needs to compete, to sign the caliber of players that demand a higher wage. We will never win trophies. We will never truly back a manager. And we are now stuck in this rut of appointing yes men like Langes and Munns and Anges. Nothing changes unless we get rid of them.
How do we boycott, Stel? How do we boycott?
Simon, we boycott by fans choosing to boycott, and we're not choosing to do it. So when I said 2 years ago, we can't keep blaming Levy anymore, we can't keep blaming Enoch anymore, the fans are to blame. The fans who refuse to take action but want to moan when we lose, when we don't sign Eze, when we don't sign Neto, when the tactics aren't right because that's the manager Levy's hired, when we sack managers when we shouldn't sack them, when we don't run the football team the way we run the property portfolio, the events that generate huge revenues, the way we run the rest of the business, we don't give that love, care, desire and ambition to the football team. That's what you get with Levy and Enoch. Do you want this to continue? If the answer is yes, don't ever moan again. Don't ever come on this channel, my channel, YouTube, Twitter, and complain. How dare you complain if you accept it? It's like being in a marriage where she cheats on you, she cheats on you, she cheats on you, and every time your choice is, I'm not going to leave, I'm going to stay with her because I hope one day she doesn't cheat on me. Well, you can't blame her anymore. Or if you're a woman, you can't blame him anymore. You've got to look at yourself and say, I'm accepting this. Look, if new owners come in, God willing, they might be better, they might not. I just don't want this anymore, guys. I'm not prepared to sit here knowing what the outcome is going to be every season under this ownership, which is failure and mediocrity. And for me, defending Ange is part of the problem because he's part of this con job. He's part of this Project Levy, which has massively backfired. It's a catastrophe what Levy's done with his new project. Since getting rid of Conte, he's brought in data analysts, he's brought in Munn and Lange and Ange, this new direction. It's a disaster. It's an absolute mess. And yes, you can blame injuries to some degree, but not to the extent of what we're witnessing right now, guys. I'm sorry, you can't. Levy's got to go, Lange has got to go, and Ange has got to go. They all stink. And as far as I'm concerned, and I'll wrap it up, guys, I don't want to steal the show. And as far as I'm concerned, defending this any longer is complicit in the downfall of Tottenham Hotspur. And that's me, guys.
All right, Stel. Appreciate you coming on, mate.
Much love.
Nice to see you. And we'll speak to you soon. That was Stelios.
Strong points. They're all valid points. Yeah, we need to somehow figure out how that actually works on maths, because it's very difficult. As I said earlier, if I get rid of my ticket, my season ticket, or I don't go to games or whatever, my seat will be taken. And there's a massive long list of people beyond that, and that's ultimately probably what Tottenham want in general anyway. Probably want no more genuine fans or loyal fans or legacy fans ever again. We've seen that a lot in the NFL and things like that. It just becomes massively commercialized, and that's it, isn't it?
Some quotes from Ange.
Who knows?
About on his future. He says, people can judge me, they can say I'm not good enough, but but they can't be critical of the players during this time. They've given everything since mid-November, and you can't judge them at this point. They've got to be better appreciation for what this small group of players has been doing for 2.5 months. That's not an excuse. It shouldn't be seen that way through objective. It's not an excuse. It should be seen that way through objective analysis, and anything else would be gender-driven. He says, asked what if he's worried that his team don't look like an Ange team. He said, I don't know how else to explain it. I don't know how else to explain if you can't see that this team is trying to play its hardest in the most extreme circumstances. 2.5 months of asking 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds and senior players with no rest to play Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday. I'll keep going for 2.5 months, and if you think that it's not all at all a factor of how this team is forming, then there's nothing else I can say. There's nothing else I can explain. Asked if the style of his team should remain the same regardless of the injuries, he said no, because they're tired. Do you think they can press like we would? If we hadn't played Thursday night, and I hadn't rotated that team, we wouldn't have been pressing aggressively today. Fair chance, unless you don't think they're human beings. Unless you're superhuman and think you're after playing Liverpool on Thursday, you should be flying tonight. It doesn't happen. They're human beings. Why do you think Liverpool and others rotate 11 players? Why? There's a reason, and I wish I could do the same. So you can bring a freshness to the team. Of course, they're not playing anywhere near the levels that we want or expect, but that's not because they're not trying. It's because they can't. And I think this group of players, once we get the rest of the group in, will be an outstanding team. I have no doubt about that. Whether other people can't see that, that's of no interest to me. If you want to measure anything on what they're doing at the moment, other than the extreme situation they're dealing with, then I think your analysis is skewed and not objective. That is my opinion. The Tottenham boss on whether injury reset coming next week rather than this week. Yeah, that's the timing of things. Just unfortunate for us that we couldn't get a couple back. We were hoping to get a couple back for this last week, and it didn't happen. We could have risked a couple, but with what's ahead, we want to be conservative on that. It is a bit of a reset. We'll get 3, maybe 4 players back this week, with the possibility of 1 or 2 others in the week or 2 after that. More importantly, this group that has been going gets a reset. They can go a whole week now without having to get up for another game. We got back from Liverpool at 2 a.m. on Friday, the early hours of the morning, so they can get some rest and desperately need physically and mentally. So Ange is saying any analysis that doesn't take into account the injuries is agenda-driven and skewed.
I don't know. It's just a mix. There's so many things in everyone's heads right now. Everyone's always emotive, of course, after losses like today, and more not necessarily the losses, actually the performance, like the level of performance. And I think it's all those things that you've mentioned over and over, Sim, like and for many weeks and many months. You know, it's just one of those things where a lot of fans just don't have that patience. I get the logic of a lot of it, but equally, you know, there has to be some answers in some other capacity as well. We have to show some kind of different fight, some different aggression. Like Stel just mentioned the great point about, you know, there was 15 or so minutes of energy, but that diminished when the game plan of Villa changed, and it was like we didn't have the answers. That wasn't really down to exhaustion or anything like that. It was more like, oh god, we don't know what we're doing again, and then there's no confidence whatsoever to adapt to the game, and that's the problem. And a lot of that does come from the manager. You know, the players, of course, have the ability and, you know, the talent to try and formulate that ability into a game. But equally, from the manager's perspective, like, things haven't been changing. The formations, the tactics, everything, the different players that we could put on. We could put a load of other players on. It may not work, but at least the fans won't be in their heads thinking, oh, this is just the same thing, or we are expecting to do something here. At least when you're putting different players on, or like the academy players, for example, there's an understanding, maybe not so much anger. So I just think there's too many angry fans around for obvious reasons. There's 2 sides to the coin, isn't it? And I think that's where we're at now. And it's really interesting to hear the different opinions, the different thoughts. I know we've got another one lined up now on the call.
All right, let's bring on Mikey.
Hey guys.
Hey,
Hi.
Mikey. Hope you're well, mate. Spurs crashing out of another.
I'm crashing out, man. I'm
Yeah, I
crashing.
think everyone's crashing out. The players are crashing out. What was your kind of analysis of the game?
And is there much like to analyze? I feel like every time the game ends and we look back and we get the press conference where it's like, yeah, we have injuries, our players have given everything, all I can ask for, etc. We get the, it's becoming kind of like a weekly routine to tune into a few Tottenham blogs, scroll Twitter, see what people are saying, criticize the player performance. They go back in training and we play again in 3 days' time. Now, obviously, that cycle ends because we haven't got a game for another week. Players will finally get some rest because they do look completely burnt out. So I do have to take that into consideration. The fact that the players look done out and they have for weeks now. We rotate the midfield, but that's about the only thing we can rotate, and it's a sorry state of affairs that the club finds itself in at this moment in time. Out of both domestic cups in a week, with the Europa League to look forward to, where we're not even, I would argue, even in the top five favourites to win it, given our current form, and we. It's the worst this club's been in my lifetime, and I'm only 21 years old. So yeah.
So, after this damaging week, obviously, first of all, let's just talk about the game. Obviously, we a lot of people talk about Ange and whatnot, but in terms of the game, how we approached it, and maybe the good and bad elements. Obviously, what thing cost us today, in your opinion, in terms of why we lost?
I mean, where to start? I suppose energy levels, as I mentioned, take into consideration. But it was a very similar theme to the Liverpool game, where and I mean every, in the first half at least. In the Liverpool game, it was all game, but even in the first half, every second ball, every first ball, every 50-50, every duel, every tackle didn't come off, didn't didn't work, didn't happen, no pressure, nothing. And you thought you were turning a corner with the Brentford result, where we saw Bentancur back to his best, and we had a period of maybe a week and a half where we saw Sonny back to doing something akin to what we know he can do. And it's all just come crumbling down again. It's been consistently inconsistent. And I think the game represented that, going down in the first minute in a crucial game. Where have we heard that before? It's happened before, and it's a repetitive cycle. The Kinski has to be doing better for that goal, and then right when we're in the ascendancy in the second half, they score. The momentum swung in their favour at the most crucial point, and we never really recovered from that.
In terms of the new players, Danso, Tell, what was your kind of take on their performances today?
Well, Tell scored, so good for him to get his first goal and his full debut. Looked lively. He's one of the only ones that did look lively. Again, Jed Spence was trying. It wasn't the most vintage Jed Spence performance, but he was still trying to drive us up the pitch. But apart from that, I can't say much. Danzo, for me, I wasn't really paying too much attention to his game, so I can't sit here and say that I watched his game kind of closely. But what I can say is that he is our only fit centre back, and regardless of his performance, we need to keep playing him, and that's where we're at now, really. Again.
So where are you at with the big question, I guess?
I don't even think it matters anymore asking Ange in or Ange out. This season is a non-entity already. We're 14th in the league. We're out of both cup competitions. The Europa League is a pipe dream at best. Probably going to be another trophyless season. Count how many of those we've had under Levy. I think it's all but one of them, if my math is correct. All but one season under Levy have gone trophyless. So that is another thing. And honestly, this season is done. I asked ChatGPT what they thought, and it just said one thing. It just said it's hard to see Ange succeeding long term with Daniel Levy still at the helm. Even AI knows how bad it is.
The algorithm has kicked in.
And again, I'm going to the protest next week. I'm attending the women's game at the Emirates and then heading straight over to the protest. I'll be there, hopefully front and center. I'll kind of be covering it as part of my journalism degree. They've allowed me to cover it as part of my journalism degree, so that should be fine. All well and good, but I'll be there half as a fan, half as a journalist. So I'm going to have to keep my two hats on equal times, I think, so I don't go over the top and start swearing about Daniel Levy live on camera. But in terms of everything that's going on, it's got one cause. My sympathies for Ange at this point are independent of my sympathies for Daniel Levy. It's kind of hard to not think of them both, but I have them separated at least. I think the way we play under Ange is sustainable with the players that we have in our starting 11 when they're all fit. Trouble is, they're never all fit. So, you know, his style of football is built for the players, is built for a certain profile of player, and the board have failed in getting him adequate backups for those profile of players. So ultimately, the blame rests at Daniel Levy's feet once again.
All right, Mikey, appreciate you coming on as always, mate.
Thank you very much.
See you, and we'll speak to you very soon.
Bye.
See you next week, Mikey. Bye.
All right, that was Mikey in the house. Now we've got, let's get Teslim, I think, as I hope I pronounced that right. North London Narratives. I'm sure he's going to be peddling some narratives today. How you doing, mate? Thanks for coming on the show. Hope you're well.
How are you guys doing?
Yeah, look, we're struggling at the moment to kind of assess what's going on at Tottenham. What narrative comes out today then?
I'm not being honest about certain things. I feel like I've been watching you, like your review, and I feel like you're very dismissive about a lot of things, and you don't call things for what they truly are. And I know you're probably saying, "Oh, what do I mean by that?" And I will give you reasons why I'm saying the things I'm saying. So let's go back in time. Let me take you guys back in time. Back to last season when our players came back. From January, we played 18 games. Last season, when we got our players back, we had 8 wins, drew 3, and won 7. Lost 7, sorry. Out of the 7 losses, 5 came in the last 5. Out of the 7 losses, 5 came in the last 5 games of the season. During this period, we had most of our starting 11, except for Modelogi, because he had that injury towards the back end of last season. Then, out of the first 10 games last season, we won 8, we drew 2. That was 26 points in 10 games. In the remaining 28 games, we won 40 points, which is 1.4 points per game. Okay, some people will say, "Oh, but our players were out injured." No problem. From January, we played 18 games. We drew 8. We won 8, drew 3, lost 7. That's 1.5 points per game. That's when we had our players back. We had 1.5 points per game. In this season, before the injuries, because you're here, I heard you talking about injuries. This has nothing to do with injuries. This season, before the injuries, when we had Van de Ven and Romero, we're 8th. Then Van de Ven got injured. After Van de Ven got injured, I think it was 2 or 3 games before Romero got injured, and Dragishin came in. And I don't know what you want to say about Dragishin, but he was signed under Ange. Dragishin came in to fill in for Romero. By the time Romero got injured, we were 10th. At this point in the season, people were saying, "Oh, we're how many points away from the top of the league? 3 points from third." I remember you saying that we're 3 points from third. But then you forgot the context of the season. At the game week when Romero was injured, Chelsea and City had played each other. Arsenal and Villa had played each other. Man U, Liverpool had been played. West Ham versus Chelsea, City versus Arsenal, Newcastle versus City, Villa versus Man U, Liverpool versus Chelsea, West Ham versus Man U, Chelsea versus Newcastle, Arsenal versus Liverpool, Newcastle versus Arsenal, Man U versus Chelsea, Liverpool versus Villa, Chelsea versus Arsenal. And this is excluding the games of Bournemouth and excluding the games of Forest, who are also flying this season, excluding the likes of Fulham, like the games against them. These big teams had played each other, which is why the table was skewed. And I was saying this thing, that table is lying because a lot of big teams are playing each other and they'll be taking points to get off each other. The table wasn't looking as bad. The table wasn't looking as bad as it did. Everybody was talking about the back to the season. At that point in time, when people were saying we're 3 points from third, we're 4 points away from West Ham in 14th, and we have not played anyone. And that's why I'm saying that you are absolutely lying about this thing, or you're being disingenuous about it. You're not being honest, because if you call a spade, and it's making me start to question your loyalties actually. Because if you call a spade, yeah, I get it. You run one of the biggest Tottenham channels, but I'm really starting to question your loyalty. Because if you call a spade, by these things that everybody has been saying, by the facts, which is exactly what I just called here, it's not about injuries. By the facts, you know that this manager is not good enough, and this has nothing to do with injuries. This manager has not been good enough, and it has nothing to do with injuries. And this season, we've lost to Wolves, we've lost to Ipswich, we've lost to Everton, we've lost to Leicester, we've lost to Crystal Palace. Those are teams that were in a relegation battle. Those are teams that, because of Ange Postecoglou, were also in a relegation battle. So those are teams that are in and around us. And we can't even beat the teams in and around us. And you're talking about injuries. When we lost to Palace, it didn't have anything to do with injuries. When we lost to Ipswich, it didn't have anything to do with injuries. When we dropped points to Leicester, it didn't have anything to do with injuries. Leicester this season took 4 points out of 6 away from us. And you're here telling me it's injuries, it's this, it's the same players that have been playing, this, that. That has nothing to do with that. That only doesn't have anything to do with that. Well, yeah, I don't want to talk too much because Brian is here, but that's all I have to say. What do you have from it?
Well, you're very good at implementing narratives, that's for sure. I've been through, in terms of whether I think Ange is the right guy or the savior and all these kind of things. Obviously, the jury is down. I'm not sitting here saying I think Ange is definitely the right manager going forward or for the long term. I just think we should my only opinion is we should give it until the end of the season to see how things play out. Now, obviously, we've just gone out of 2 cups in 4 days, and that definitely does play into the judgment of whether Ange should stay come the end of the season. We're obviously still in the Europa League. The league form has been a shambles. But I think in terms of a lot of things you say, again, I think they've been skewed. Obviously, the first 10 games were very good in Ange's tenure last season. Last season.
Last season. Okay.
Yeah, last season. Now, you say you only pick it from January, but you leave out November and December, where actually our form was pretty good. I think, anyway.
November and December last season, I started from when our players came back, because a lot of people were talking about injuries.
My point is, we first 10 games, right? We then played Chelsea. We had 2 long-term injuries and 2 red cards in that game, and
our players came back by January.
No, but listen, we started. We had a bit of a mini injury crisis, right? So we lost 4 of the next 5 games after that first 10 games when we played Chelsea. After we played Chelsea, we lost 4 of that draw, obviously being away at Man City, the Etihad. But we lost 4 of the next 5 games. After that little period, even though in those 5 games we didn't play badly, but we did lose 4 of those 5 games, right? After that period, the next 16 games, which is nearly half a season, by the way, the next 16 games after that period, we won 10, we drew 3, and we lost 3. We had a points per game of just over 2, which is about top 4 form during that period in those next 16 games, right? So we actually were playing quite well, or we were getting fairly decent results for quite a consistent period of time. The last 7 games, we played, I think, 4 of the top 5 in that period. We played Newcastle at St James's, we played Arsenal, Liverpool at Anfield, we played Man City at home. I think the other defeat was Fulham away at Craven Cottage, was obviously a bad defeat.
Well, there's also the context about those. It's not just about losing. It's about the way we lost them. We lost them in first half. We lost them. We're 3 down to Liverpool, I think, or Arsenal in the first half.
We were terrible, but we were playing very good teams. But yeah, we were dreadful in those games. We lost 4 of the. Okay. We were playing for the. We were playing the top 5, but obviously it's understandable to lose those games. I was saying at the time the manner in which we lost those games was extremely concerning and was definitely a red flag for sure. I don't disagree with that, but obviously there in the context we were playing the top 5, pretty much the top 5 teams, or 4 of the top 5. So it's not like we were losing to nobodies. Now, beginning of the season, I would say up until the Brighton game, we were playing fairly well, I would say, for a lot of those games. I know maybe some games like the Leicester game beginning of the season, we didn't take the result that we should have in terms of the performance. Newcastle at St James's played quite well, didn't get the result the performance deserved. I think there was a lot of games maybe that we probably didn't get the result we should have. Performance, but I thought we obviously did get some brilliant performances. Aston Villa at home, obviously we beat Man City at the Etihad, we won 3-0 Old Trafford, we beat West Ham 4-1.
I'll turn off my camera for a few. I'm still here though.
Okay, we beat West Ham 4-1 at home, so obviously we're doing very well in the Europa League. We won 3 out of 3. Carabao Cup, we just scraped through against Coventry, but we beat Man City with another really good display. So I think we went after the initial. We had a bit of a sloppy start results-wise, losing to Arsenal, losing to Newcastle, drew to Leicester. But I thought some performances were better. But after a little period, I think we went on a run of winning 9 out of 11 games. We started getting wins on the board. We were playing quite well. Yes, there were some sloppy games like the Palace game, which turns out, by the way, Palace are not a bad team. I know we gave them their first win of the season, but look at the run they're on now. They're not a bad team.
Yeah, exactly. They're not a bad team now, but they were a bad team then.
No, they weren't a bad
They were
team.
horrible.
They just weren't getting the results that they should have.
Exactly, but we gave them the result.
We gave them the result, but they're a good team. Like, they have got good players, and we will. They beat us.
You know the thing, Sim. It wasn't just Palace. We also did it to Ipswich. We've also dropped points to Wolves. We've also dropped points to Leicester.
We've also dropped points to yes, but that's an injury crisis. My point being, before the injury crisis, right? I think the injury crisis really hit after the City game. I think, by the way, after that City game, we were 6th and we were 3 points off 3rd. That was our position after the City game. Then the injury crisis really hit. We've lost all these players. We have for since that time we've had, I think, 11 to 12 players out for a good 2.5 months. Right, we've had an amazing amount of injuries, more than any club I think could probably cope with. And during that, we've been playing Thursday, Sunday, pretty much every single week for 2 months. Right, we're trying to play obviously an attacking brand style, a style of play which you use your physical attributes, you try to overwhelm the opposition. He's had to make adjustments because we just can't keep up that style of play with the injuries that we have. Right, but I just that is the reason why since that injury crisis hit, yes, we've lost, I think, 9 out of 10 league, whatever it is. We've lost 9 out of 11 games, I think it is, in the league. Obviously, we won some good deeds. We won in the Carabao Cup against Liverpool in the first leg. We beat Man United. We beat Southampton. We obviously beat Brentford. So those are the wins we've had. But by and large, the results have been absolutely diabolical since that injury crisis has hit. But it isn't just an injury crisis, it's an injury crisis for 2.5 months, double-digit injuries. Our 2 centre-backs, our goalkeeper, we've lost our first-choice striker, we've lost Odebear, we've lost Brennan Johnson now, we've lost Destiny Doggy, our first-choice left-back as well. This is not just a one-off game, this has been for 2.5 months, and we're trying to play a certain way with every 3 days, right? And these players are just running on empty. They're being overplayed, they're tired, they're unable to play the way Ange Postecoglou wants them to play, and that's what's leading to this absolute diabolical results. And even in this situation, obviously most games are not being battered, we're only losing by the odd goal. We've been unlucky in a few games, but by and large performances have been terrible, just like they were on Thursday, just like it was today. But I do put it down to injury crisis. It's nothing to do with me being disingenuous. I'm just saying, before the injury crisis, I thought we were playing quite well. We had some really good performances, and we showed we could blow teams away. After the City game, we were 6th and 3 points off 3rd, or 4 points off 2nd after the City game. So we actually weren't in.
That was how many games in?
After the Man City game, we were 6th and 4 points off 2nd. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but that was game week. I don't know, 12.
12. I think that was about the time that Romero got injured.
Yeah, Romero got injured that game, or the game before.
Okay, the game before, yeah, he got injured the game before.
Yeah,
that game before, yeah,
on international duty,
yeah. You know the thing, a lot of people were using Romero and Van de Ven, and I gave context to it, yeah. And all I'm going to say, aside from that, last season we finished 5th in the Premier League, playing 1 game a week, going out of the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup early, and we still finished 5th in the Premier League. We bottled the top 4 last season. So this is something that started this season. eyebrows
We
were
got
raised
to the
last
top
season,
four
but
after
because
losing
of
Harry Kane, by the way. After losing
Tim,
Harry
I let
Kane,
you
our best
speak.
ever goal scorer. Okay, just saying.
Yeah, we lost Harry Kane. Yeah, we lost Harry Kane. Fine. But if I remind you, or if I need to remind you, that Conte got us into top four with lots of Sesenyo, Emerson, Ben Davies, Eric Dyer, Davison Sanchez, all players who have left the club now, because the players in the club right now are better than them. And they are. Nobody's going to argue otherwise. They are. So this manager might have lost Harry Kane, but he has Madison, he has Vicario, he has Van de Ven, he has Pedro Porro, he has Udogi, he has Bissouma, he has Bentancur, he has Madison, he has Son, he has Solanke, he has Kulusevski. So he has no excuses. No excuses, because that's a way better team than what any manager has had. And any decent manager would do better with this squad than what this manager is doing. That's my honest opinion. And those are facts. Because you can't tell me that Eric Dyer, Davison Sanchez, Ben Davies, Sesenyo, and Emerson Royal are not worse players than the players we have now. And aside from that, Conte finished fourth with this squad, with that squad, sorry. He finished fourth. And even when he got sacked, the live table when Tottenham Hotspur were winning 3-1 against Southampton, we were third. He lost his mind because we ended up drawing that game 3-3. And we were fourth. That last game, that was Conte's last game for Tottenham Hotspur.
I like Conte. I didn't want him sacked.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying with that horrible squad we had, even with Lloris in goal, we're fourth. We're fourth. And now, Tottenham Hotspur are what?
You want to
I don't even know what we are. Like,
the three teams below us at the time had 3 games in hand, and we could have easily been 6th by the time that was finished.
Okay,
so
that aside, all I'm going to say again, on this injury thing that you're saying, last season, when Ten Hag had injuries, nobody was talking about Ten Hag's injuries. Everybody was saying they should sack him. The only reason why Ten Hag kept his job last season was because he won the FA Cup. And this is Ten Hag that had way more credits in the back than Hag. Ten Hag finished third in his first season and won the Carabao Cup. Even with all his injuries, Ten Hag finished 8th that second season. 8th. And he still won an FA Cup. And nobody was saying, oh, they should let him stay. Even when Manchester United kept Ten Hag, everybody was like, what the hell did these people do?
All the fan channels were definitely saying keep Ten Hag at that point, by the way. If you watch all the fan channels were saying the only manager they want is keep Ten Hag. If you watch it at the time, they were saying they should have. Rival fans maybe not, but all the Man United fans I was speaking to wanted to keep him at the end of the season.
I don't think the ones I was watching, not everybody wanted to keep him. Not everybody wanted to keep him.
That's
but for sure, the point is game back. The point is that protecting Ange. The point is being backing, and it's the exact same thing that's happened to Ange. And now everybody's saying we should protect him. We should not sack him. When he's doing an absolutely horrible job.
We should sack him. I'm the only one saying we should.
Well, it should be sacked.
Look, fair enough. I don't blame you for wanting him sacked. My opinion is we should give him to the end of the season. There's no point sacking him now. I think when we get our players back, we'll be a much better team and we will be able to start winning games again. I think most managers are going to struggle in this injury crisis. You look at Liverpool today as an example. They changed their team for one game. They changed their team and take out their best players for one game and they lose to Plymouth. One game. We've had this for 2.5 months. 2.5 months.
You know the problem, Sim?
What?
Sim, we need to stop the rot. Tottenham Hotspur is not going to continue winning games, and these players are not coming back because all the players that have been coming back have been getting injured again. So everybody's saying, "Oh, we wait till the players come back." They are not coming back, and even the ones we have are getting injured. They are not coming back. So we need to stop the rot because this manager is going to run. He has already run this club to the floor. Him and Levy and Lange, they've run this club to the floor, and they're going to keep on doing that. So we need to stop the rot. That's why we need to sack him.
Okay,
that's honestly why we need to sack him.
That's fair enough, but I just don't like being called disingenuous when I have actual arguments
I'm
back
sorry,
to my point, and that's my opinion.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I respect your opinion. I respect it.
No worries, Teslim. Appreciate your call,
legend.
Mate. And
all right, take care, guys.
Thanks, Teslim.
No worries. Speak to you soon.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. All right. That's the first time I think someone has called up and called me disingenuous.
Well, I think, there's some interesting points in.
No, I get his points. Yeah. I don't disagree with him totally. I think he's got some good points.
Yeah.
And I think the way we are going, he might well be sacked. And I wouldn't be surprised if I speak tomorrow. But I have reasons for my opinions.
Of course. Yeah,
and
I understand.
I'm not lying with what I believe.
Yeah.
Just for anything. People accuse me of lying for views. And this is my genuine belief. But obviously, we are up 2 cups now. And
of course.
And that obviously has to play into it.
Do you think that being out 2 cups has swung your mind slightly?
Well, it doesn't make me a more engine, put it that way. So obviously there's some more strikes against him. But again, I feel bad because if I don't want to sit here and say now we're both clubs and I'm now Ange out, because it's the same situation.
You still have a belief of something different.
Still
That's fine.
It's the same situation as it has been for 2.5 months. So I can't sit here and say, well, he should be doing better, because I feel like it's so hard to do better in the current climate. Anyway, we've got Brian Daigle in the house. Here we are,
The
Brian.
legend that is.
Mr. Brian Daigle.
Good
Lovely to
afternoon,
have you on the
chaps.
show, my friend. In his pink shirt today.
Yep. Well, underneath it, I've got the FA Cup 91 shirt with Gazza's number on the back, and thought that would give us some luck. Right. I'm going to try and stay calm. I'm going to try, but I make no promises. So let's first of all start with those disgraceful, and I'm going to pick one particularly, and pathetic excuses from Ange Postecoglou. Mainly starting with, we got back from Liverpool at 2 a.m. Oh, Diddums, did you really? Did you not have a nice first-class coach or private plane or first-class train home? And then you got to have a nice little lay-in because it's a warm down day in your nice big mansions, your nice big beds, and then go into the lovely multi-million-pound training complex for a nice little rundown and warm down and go in the plunge pool, ice bath, maybe have a nice little masseuse, while 6,000 Spurs fans made their way home by car, train, or stayed overnight at great expense, got home at stupid o'clock in the morning and had to get up and do an honest day's work, but didn't make excuses and did it. Then they get up on Sunday to do it again. But oh no, you didn't get home till 2 a.m. Oh, I'm so upset for you. I'm so sorry. And maybe if you were paid hundreds of thousands of pounds a week to do this, it would be okay. And now let's talk about the bloody word context again and fucking injuries. Let's dispel this myth right now, because it's bullshit. And the reason it's bullshit, we want to talk about our injured players. Well, let's have a look at a few. Manor Solomon needed 4 operations Spurs last season. Goes to Leeds, Championship football, playing every single week, twice a week, not one single injury.
He did have an injury, actually.
Okay, so he's had one injury. Has he had an operation and been out since, like he was for a whole season at Spurs? No.
He had an operation before he joined Spurs, though.
I'm talking about at Leeds.
I know where you're going with this. You're saying it's going to
Has Jamie Donnelly, Keeley, Alfie Devine, has Vuskovic, have any of these other players that are Tottenham players that have gone elsewhere and obviously don't get to play in the multi-million game-changing training ground, that play regular football, have they had injuries? Have they had problems? Have they had to play twice a week? And then the biggest one of the lot, Japhet Tanganga, who was an injury curse at Tottenham Hotspur, injured all the time, had to get rid of him, can't keep fit. 48 back-to-back consecutive championship games without fail, no injury. Dominic Solanke, the opposite, comes to Tottenham. Oh, look what's happened. Look what's happened. Then we want to talk about if we have our players back and fit. Last year when we went to Anfield, our lineup was Vicario, Pedro Porro, Mickey van der Ven, Romero, Royale because Destiny was injured, a midfield of Bentancur, Bissouma, Sarr, and a front three of Kulusevski, Son, Johnson. We were 4-0 down within 60 minutes. But it's okay, the injuries, and when they're back, it makes a difference. It's all a myth. And now we want to say, because we're playing multiple games a week, the club are aware of this. They have a transfer window to buy players and strengthen the squad and do it in the summer with quality and not have to wait till the last minute in January. But no, we don't do that. Other teams play football regularly in Europe. They rotate. And Sim, you went on about Plymouth, Liverpool, and they do this for one game and they lose. Do you know what? Liverpool could have played that team against Plymouth against us. We still would have lost. And do you know why? Because Plymouth fought. Plymouth gave aggression. Plymouth were dedicated. Plymouth went for glory. They went for glory, as did Leyton Orient with Manchester City. But what we'll do now, we'll go back to the fans that think everything's great. We played well for 35 minutes. We had a couple of shots on goal. Yes, yes, success. This is absolute lunacy. It's amazing again that we'll use the injuries for the players we have got, but won't mention every single player that is out on loan, no injuries at all. No multi-million-pound training facility and rehabilitation or nothing. Lower league football, Belgian football. But no, we'll just focus here. And then we want to talk injuries. Ben White from the Filth, who had knee surgery, is back in training with Arsenal and ready to come back. But Van der Ven and Romero are slow healers.
So I'm trying to get what you're trying to say. You saying who's
I'm
to
saying
blame
the
for
whole
this?
club is rancid. Ange needs to go tonight. Levy, you're an absolute bastard. And I swear to God, I've done it once before. I've already looked to see if I can get a ticket to come back for next Sunday and just come for a long weekend. At the moment, it's totally out of the question because it's $2,000 that I don't have. If I can find a ticket cheaper, and I can, I will be there if I can. Because I stick by what I say. This is absolute lunacy. And Ange wants to come out with these excuses. He is a walking, talking contradiction. I backed him as much as I could till the Arsenal game. At the start of the season, yeah, we're fitter and ready for the season ahead. Lie. Lie. We don't need players. We do need players. We're trying to get players. It's all lies. And he's being forced to say this shit as a cover-up for that cock on the top that has watched this for 24 years. I was saying the cups are all we've got this season. In a week, they're done. In a week, they're done. Our midfield, if you want to call it that, because we don't have one. That first half, they just went through us like it weren't non-existent. But every time we went on the attack, Villa, disciplined. Midfield in front of the defence, protected it. All drilled and knew what to do. Our players don't have a clue what to do. Not a clue. There is no ideas. It is literally jumpers for goalposts and let's see if it works. That's what it is at this football club now. Jumpers for goalposts. Next goal wins. And this scoreline has flattered us. Absolutely flattered us. And they can bring on Stelios and Rashfords. And we want to talk about it's a young team. Look at that team against Liverpool. Apart from Kinski, Graham Bergvall and Tell, who had to come on because of another injury, every single one of them are internationals and above 24 or at the age where you're not considered young anymore. But we have a young team. Project Youth. Let's put them on the bench and not give them any minutes whatsoever. Just so we can say, we've got a young team. Give them a chance. This football team is in such a dire straits of a it is crumbling. It is crumbling to pieces, falling apart. The excuses need to stop. I have never in my life seen a manager so protected. And Sim, listen, you know, you are an absolute
protected by who? Protected by who?
This fan base. This
Everyone
fan base and Daniel Levy. Listen, what more records do we need to have? The worst Premier League point for game ratio. You can come up with all the stats that are coming out. And like I said, we use the injuries. It's a myth. Yes, there's injuries, but we're always told, oh, they've had a setback. Oh, he's a slow healer. Oh, they're meant to be back. All these injuries we kept getting, it's no coincidence that everyone else that has left this club and gone on to another team, there's hardly any injuries and they're playing just as much football.
I don't know, but when you say that, Brian, I don't know what you're trying to, like, are you saying that they are not coming back on purpose? Are you saying the medical team are not doing their job?
I'm saying this whole house of cards needs
The
to
whole
come
thing.
down because it is a pack of lies from top to bottom. From top
But
to bottom.
you saying when they're lying about the length of the injuries or what?
Well, it looks like it. Well, let's look at Van der Ven, shall we? Mickey Van der Ven, who we all know how vital he is. You start against Elfsborg, all a shock, but we thought, okay, that's to get him minutes ready for Liverpool and Brentford. We need to manage his minutes. We need to manage his minutes so you don't play him in the next 3 games. Rumours are rife that it's bigger than first thought. Why the club don't just come out and say, do you know what, it's an injury. It's going to come out soon, but rather than saying, "Yep, we've got an injury. We need to deal with this. He's going to be out for X amount of time." No, he's a slow healer. He's a slow healer. Our injury excuses are becoming like buzzword transfer bingo. He's a slow healer. Romero, who's back. Oh, he's on his way back. No, he is. Is he? No, he's not yet. No, he's back. Oh, no, he's had a step back. No, he's a slow healer. Guarantee he plays for Argentina in the upcoming international break. Vicario,
Are you saying they're refusing to come back?
I've got no idea what I'm saying, mate. But right now, to tell you the goddamn, mate, I'm so enraged. Listen, what I'm saying is that people have got to stop this bullshit that the injuries when they're back, they're going to be better because we keep getting told that they're coming back, but then they're not. We need to stop using injuries because then I can give you players that have gone out on loan and are playing regular football and earning their minutes, whether it be lower league where tackles are flying in and rougher, whether it be European football. They're not getting injuries. They're not going to these world-class elite training centres with the best masseuses, the best rehabilitation, the plunge pools, everything else we've got. None of them they're all playing absolutely fine. Got a manager who now wants to blame and say, we got back at 2 a.m. You want to use, you got back at 2 a.m. Like I said, when those away fans, and God bless each and every single one of them, not just because of how loud they were today and brilliant they were today, they've gone up to Anfield and back and gone and done a day's work because they have to. Bills need to be paid, food needs to be fed, kids need to be looked after. Then they go and do it again for Aston Villa. They'll get back home, they'll go to work tomorrow at 9 a.m, 8 a.m, 6 a.m. Some of them might even work nights. They'll go and do their job. You want to come out with bitch-ass lame excuses that you got back at... What is this, jet lag from Anfield? Is this what it is now? And it all comes down to the guy at the top that facilitates this goddamn bullshit. Mun, what the fuck are you? Who are you? What do you do? Lange, piss off. Piss right off. You do nothing. You keep things quiet. Yeah, because no one else wanted Kinski. You went out to try and get Johan Tell. Mateus Tell. And the bald dickhead went out to try and help as well. He turned him down. You go for Disassi 15 times, even though he turns you down. But no, Chelsea, can you please have a word with Disassi? We really tell him to come. Rejection. This whole club, I keep saying it, and I've kept coming on, and I will take the abuse that comes my way. I will take it gladly.
Because I love Brian.
Mate, thankfully I do get the love now, but there are idiots that want to call the shit out. But this is all good. This is all good. Don't worry. We played well. We showed some spirit for about 15 minutes in the second half. Well done. Well done. Let's all commend Spurs, because that's what we do now. All that matters, all we talk about now is, Ange must have had a real good rollicking in the second half because they played well for 15 minutes. That's what matters now. Not that we got out of 2 cups in a week. Not that we didn't have a shot on target at Anfield. Not that we can't do it. I can't urge people more, and I'm going to stop the screaming, stop the shouting, and just talk about how important Sunday is. I can't stress. Si knows very, very well the group we're in the things we've tried, the things we've done, the process I've attended, the protest I've arranged with Ryan Graham training, but the flying over from Canada, the NFL, the presence I have on YouTube, and thankfully, and I keep saying it, people want to talk about this channel that I love with all my heart and is, for me, the greatest channel out there. And if it wasn't for people like Ben and Simeon, and people need to remember this, people like myself, Stel, Danny Kiriakou, and others who have been Levy out for so long, have always had the platform to come on here and speak it. No matter what. Other people didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to discuss it, or wouldn't entertain the discussion. We Are Tottenham TV always bloody well have done. This channel means more to me than just the channel, as people know. This Sunday, enough is enough. Excuse is over. This whole thing has fallen down again. It's another project that hasn't worked. It's an owner that doesn't look for quality players, looks for players that will come with low wages. We'll chuck in the... Do you know what? Someone tagged me in a tweet the other day, and I can't believe them. It said, do you know what? When we're all dead, Tottenham are going to be fucking brilliant because of all the youngsters we signed. That's what it's becoming, because Roy's told in 2 years' time, the games are over. This nonsense can't carry on. The whole season depended and relied on cups because of how shambolic our league form is. And people really think we can win the Europa League when Tamworth take us to extra time. We don't have a shot on target in a semi-final, even when we go behind and need a goal, and there needs to be urgency. There's no urgency. Crystal Palace hadn't won a game all season. Well, guess what? They played Tottenham, they did. Same with Ipswich. Same, you look at it, then we played Leicester and Everton. Teams that were 1 in 12 and 1 in 14. And then when you look at this now, I can't believe that I'm about to say this. The last home Premier League win we had is the day I flew into England, November the 3rd, to beat Aston Villa. It has been over 2 months without a home Premier League game. Win, sorry.
3, Brian, I think.
December, Jesus Christ, you're right. Makes it even worse. There you go. A goddamn quarter of a year without a How many more things do we need to wrap up and dress up to say that this ain't right? This ain't right. This shouldn't be acceptable. I thought the Cups were biding his time, and I swear, listen, if he's in charge at Manchester United, then it's going to kick. Look, Manchester United's going to be. I don't even give a damn about the result. I am going to do everything I can to support Jay, Change for Spurs, and every single person that will protest any goddamn way I can from this side of the pond, unless I can get back home, and then I'll stand proudly right alongside them.
Let's do a GoFundMe page for Brian, I think, to get him over.
Mate,
I'd love to get Brian over. I'd love to get Brian over.
I'll have a word.
So listen, you know
around.
You know the stuff that we speak about in the group.
Yes,
you know,
every
it's
day.
got to a point. Every day rampant, but it's now it's now ridiculous. It's now
it's crossed the line.
It has. Because Simeon, do you remember when I came on and went mad at Leicester after the Leicester game? And people kept saying, like Daniel Bettingfield, we got to get through this. We got to get through this. well, guess what? We're not getting through this.
No.
In fact, it's getting worse. But
Do you
then
think
people
it's
go, we beat Elfsborg. Whoa! We beat a Swedish team. Amazing.
League 4 competitor, yeah. Do you think it's quite fitting, Brian, actually, Sunday to come, United Spurs, obviously United is struggling as well. And I've got this reminiscence in my mind of when I was at the Spurs United game all those years ago with Nuno in charge.
Yep.
And I've never heard the stadium so fierce, like really fierce, with Enoch out. And I think Daniel kind of heard it as, oh, they must be saying Nuno out, because then he got sacked, but Daniel was still there. Maybe he just doesn't listen to that part. But it's quite interesting that it's this fixture again. United are in a similar position. I know they're not going to probably get rid of their manager after the game, but remember it was the El Sacco. Well, this coming week it is a massive opportunity, because it's almost actually a point of reference to say, well, hang on a minute, it's the same opposition, ironically, conveniently, but nothing has changed since then. If anything, it's gone backwards. So that should be enough reminiscence in people's minds to go, well, since Nuno, we've had more managers, different projects, different players. But the consistencies, the common denominators are still there, causing the problems in the first place. And everyone, in my opinion, yes, come to the protest, but also understand that rewind your minds back to that particular game all those years ago, a few years back, and ask yourself, has anything changed? Have we progressed? Are you satisfied? Are you entertained? Whatever the questions are, I guarantee all the answers are no to all of them, and go, well, do something about it then. Let's all get together.
So I'm going to see your Manchester United game. I'm going to raise you another one. I remember it was the last game that I stepped into the entertainment complex, the Levy Bowl, and I will never step foot in there and give him my oxygen, let alone my money, until he's gone. The last one I did, and I walked out in the 61st minute, was the Manchester United 2-2, where Porro and Eric Dyer scored, and that was after the Newcastle United 6-1, which was the very first protest and only protest that we arranged, that we did midweek, because obviously it was hard to arrange. People have work, getting there, yada yada, but we did it. I walked out in the 61st minute in honour or because of 61, Bill Nick, everything. But one of the reasons I left is the people in front of me, and I was sitting with Ben and Sim when this happened. I came up and met Ben and Sim after me and Ryan got the balloons on the on the pitch for the first time. And I remember singing to Sim when I got up there, and I said, "How shit must you be? Newcastle had 3." Because it was 1-0 after about 9 minutes. But the point I'm getting at, when I walked out, about 6-7 rows in front of me to the left, there were 2 people playing Candy Crush. And behind me, a few rows, or to the side of me, there were a couple talking about, 2 guys talking about whether they should go to Brazil or Portugal on their summer family holiday. And I was like, right, get me out of here. But what I'm getting at is that was the Manchester United game. They had just got to a final, the FA Cup final, or the Carabao Cup. I think it's just whatever it was. They just won something and got to a final. And constantly they were singing, "We want Glazers out, we want Glazers out." We sang Levy out on an arrangement, which was loud. But then it just stopped, died. I'm delighted that it's Manchester United, because they will sing this. And if everything that changed for Spurs have arranged and Jay goes to plan, and the people finally that have decided that, no, do you know what, I am against the board, or just against something with Tottenham, and I want to vent my frustration and doing it the right way, I can't urge how important it is going to that march.
Yeah.
And making those numbers up, because the bigger the numbers, the bigger exposure. You saw how big the exposure was for change for Spurs with the Leicester game. Inside the ground, give Levy hell, and I do mean absolute hell. And then there's a sit-in. As many people stay there and cause as much bad publicity or bad for the spot, just everything. Just now is the time. People like myself and others have walked the walk and talked the talk. There's a lot of people that have talked the talk and do a lot of stuff on social media or come and say hello to us at our protest, but then move on for whatever reason it may be. If you want any form of change, whether it be, I want Levy gone and ENIC out, whether you want Levy to sign something or be put aside, that he solely focus on business, solely, and I mean this time does it, not that I believe he would. If it's you want, and whatever it is that you want change for, go to the march, go to the protest. Don't buy stuff in that stadium. Because if you sit here and allow this to happen and keep doing the same thing, this is going to just continue and continue and continue. And People, like I said, keep saying we've got to get through this. Well, we're not getting through this. We're getting worse. We are putting a plaster over a bullet wound. And this is not the Tottenham Hotspur I fell in love with. This is not daring to do. This isn't Game About Glory. This isn't everything that I was brought up saying that Spurs embodied and stood for. That song that goes, we are Greaves, Chivers, what it needs to say, we are Beyonce, Gaga, the Stones. We are the touchdown. We are the knockout. We are the skywalk. Because we need a new version because there is no football there. There is no football club.
There isn't.
It's an inconvenience to Enoch, Levy, and I want to be able to celebrate my football club, be proud of the football club, have optimism, belief, faith, and there's none of it at the moment. None of it.
All right, Brian.
Brothers,
Appreciate your
love you
time as always,
dearly.
mate. Love
Everyone
you,
in the
bro.
chat, have a great one. Levy out.
Good to see you, Brian.
See you, Brian.
Much love.
He didn't even have he didn't even have enough to get the fingers out. Didn't even know he couldn't even muster up the.
I think everyone's
drained.
energy is miraculously sapped them, not even to lift a finger.
Surprised. But anyone, let's all get Brian here next week. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm going to look into that. I'll speak to the guys in the group.
We got a sign on the
We'll figure it
case.
out.
All right, I'm guessing it's the last call of the show. We've got KPV coming on.
KPV.
Kyle.
Hello.
Kyle. Hello.
Hello.
How are we
Hello.
doing? What are you thinking, KPV? What's going on today? What can we do differently here? Well, we know the answer, I think, but
Well, first off, I want to send my condolences to Ben and Sim, to their granddad. And he was a legend on the channel. I'm gutted I never got to meet him because I would have loved to meet him, but yeah, gutted I never got to. But rest
Thank you,
easy,
Kyle.
my friend. My pleasure, man. And yeah, I would have loved to meet him, but I'm gutted I didn't. But yeah, rest easy, my friend. I know you're watching this, and yeah, we're just sorry we've lost the last two games, and we're up the cups in a space of 4 days, and looks like we've only got the Europa League to contend with to try and win. And it looks like he could be gone tomorrow, and yeah, that's not good. Who's going to replace him? But yeah, just another bad performance, and I think Spence had another good game. Like, yeah, but finally we score a goal and have a shot on target. And Matthias Tell from Bayern Munich, who apparently Andrew said he didn't reject us. He didn't reject. He didn't. So good. Great goal. Yeah, not a goal of the season, but yeah, not a good performance. And we've got Man United on Sunday at home. Man United, not Man United. It's Man United, as Expressions calls them. He always says it. And now we've got to play them at home because, we've already beaten them twice. And yeah, the cup, that still does count. And now we've got to play them at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium again. And they've still got their manager. And it's not our Sakako because, yeah, when we lost 3-0 to them, when we had Nuno, because we lost, and the fans sang, "We want Levy out," and we lost because he took off Lucas Moura. That's why we lost 3-0. And you don't take off an Amsterdam hero, mate, and it's ridiculous. Lucas Moura, mate, is better than any other player we have. No offense, but yeah, bad performance again, and now we have to focus on Sunday, another Sunday, because Sundays are not good. When do we ever? And I don't like what the two Jamies said about us. When do we win a big game? Dumb. We did win a big game, I'll have you know. We beat City. So, Jamie Redknapp and Carragher, keep your mouths shut, idiots. You ain't won a league in 30 years. Yeah, you won a European Cup, lucky, but Jamie Carragher, Liverpool's team, cheated in Madrid, and I still hate Liverpool with passion. I'll never play for them because I don't play football anymore, mate. I retired. So, yeah, I hate Liverpool. And good, Plymouth won, thank God. So, but yeah, not good performance today. So Sunday we have to do better because we can't continue, mate. Kinski, not good. Like, we got to play Manu and hopefully he can do better. Kulu, he will probably score against United as he seems to, but only once. And we've got them at home. And we all know what happened the last time we played them there in the league. That was under Angel last season, and we won 2-0. That was our second game, I believe, of the season. Sim, was that our second game of the season?
Which one?
Man United at home last season. Was that our second
Yeah,
game?
2-0. Yeah, it was our second game. Yeah.
And we won. And Ben Davis didn't score. Apparently, that came off minus. Like, you name it. Like, I believe, yeah, it doesn't matter who got the goal. And Ange's not lost to Man United, so I don't care. But yeah, we got to win that game on Sunday, and I just want to beat them. Like, they're above us, and I couldn't give a damn. But anyway, people, been nice chatting to you, but KPV's still pissed off on Thursday, and yeah, so I'll see you all probably on Sunday. But yeah,
Nice one,
have a good one,
KPV.
people.
Good to see
And
you.
I'll
What
see
a
you
legend.
soon.
Good man.
KPV for everyone. I think that's
Well
the
done.
last call of the day. I just want to say, Si, appreciate your time, all the drama that we went through today. We're out the FA Cup. It wasn't a good day, but it was good seeing you, my friend.
You too, mate.
You being in the
That's
studio with me.
the only positive out today, I think, was seeing you.
But guys,
And being
that
here.
is all we have for today's streams. Appreciate everyone who joined and who gave their opinions, and everyone who called in. Appreciate everyone who interacted with the comments, even the people who called me delusional. Appreciate everyone who is there and will be there tomorrow as well for all the match reaction. Ben is going to be back in the studio, so we'll see you guys tomorrow, where we can go even further into how screwed Tottenham Hotspur are, which is very, very screwed, I think it's fair to say at this point. But look, appreciate everyone who's interacted with the stream. Love you all. See you very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.